What's up, fellow left-click holder downers? It's Teak, and I'm back with data from a project I've been working on for the last few days. What if I told you that you could be making well over 10 divines per hour in white T16 maps with no compasses, no delirium, no scarab,
no legion,
no 30-minute map clear, no sifting through screens full of loot, no currency flipping, no divination card gambling?
Well, friends, despite what Reddit tells you, it is possible to generate a very good amount of currency from channeling Crucible, and in this one we're going to go over one of the ways that you could do so while covering the bulk of your expenses with something extremely simple. Before I explain the strat to you, I want to point out that while the investment and risk in this strategy can be somewhat high, Pinnacle Boss invitations alone will basically carry it to the point where you're almost fully paying for your investment anyway. So the core of this strategy boils down to leveling and combining weapons for the third and fourth node on the tree. We'll go over some numbers later, but from my testing, I've experienced a full success rate of about 30% when combining for these two nodes together. It might not seem like really great odds, but with some clever use of game mechanics, we can squeeze out quite a bit of profit even if we're below a 30% success rate in our combines. We combine this strategy with the simple Pinnacle Boss Rush strategy where we enter a map, kill enough mobs to proc the influence you're targeting, channel the Crucible, and then leave. We only ever kill the boss when our influence is fully charged and the boss will drop an invitation. Along the way, we're grabbing any fast league mechanics we see to help with our overall profit. I chose lab trials, essences, and heists, but we'll go over that a bit more in depth in the Atlas tree section. On top of your currency investment, it does take a decent chunk of time to do, but the profit per hour is still really solid even if you have poor luck with your combines. And as long as you aren't spending a ton on your bases, it'll always be at least somewhat profitable to run this strategy even with a 0% success rate. The strategy for combining is to purchase two items, one with each node that you want on your final product. So one with the node in position 3 and one with the node in position 4. You want to slam those together, you want to end up with both of them. It's important to make sure that these nodes are in sequence in some form so that if you do hit both on one item, you can level the final item and allocate both the nodes. But I'm going to jump a little bit more in depth with that a bit later, so use the timestamps at the bottom if you want to know more about increasing your odds with this process. So the first choice is to decide what item you want as your completed item and buy bases with those nodes on them. This is an important step as it's going to dictate exactly how much you can make from your final product. I chose to go with the popular Totem Explode setup, so the nodes I've been combining for are skills that would summon a totem have a 70% chance to summon 2 totems instead, and totems explode on death, dealing 600% of their life as physical damage. These are in high demand and sell really fast, so it's definitely probably one of the better routes to go for, but there may be some competition, and there has been some competition even before posting this video, so that's something to consider. But basically, you're looking for 2 high-value nodes on the 3rd and 4th slots. You're combining them together, and you're selling the end result. Keep in mind, when you're buying items, you can split trees. So if the bases are expensive and it's worth not only the currency, but the time investment to level to 4, you can split one of your leveled trees to have 2 bases with that tree. But something really important to note is that your split item should always be the one you're sacrificing into the non-split item. You don't want to split tag on your final product because you want to further split that into 2 to sell at the very end. So our second choice is to decide on what map to run. There's some criteria I look for in a map, and I will go over that. We're looking for a map directly connected to an in-demand map on our Atlas tree so we can focus farm that specific map while we're killing monsters to proc the influence. I went with Overgrown Shrine, and there's a few reasons for that. Number 1, it's attached to Cemetery. So if we look on our Atlas tree here, we have Overgrown Shrine. It's attached to Cemetery. That way I can farm Cemetery via the passive Atlas passives, which buff monsters' chance to drop a connected map. And I'm also favoriting Cemetery, as you see on the left here, so we can run Singular Focus and increase our favorite map income. Number 2, from my experience, most league mechanics spawn in the first area, and the Crucible spawns in the first area like 99.9% of the time, which makes it super easy to find, channel, and then get out of the map. And our third reason is it's not really a map in high demand, which means it's super easy to find solid deals on bulk buys through the trade site or TFT since there's virtually no one else buying the maps. First and foremost, like I mentioned before, we're taking Singular Focus to increase our favorite map income. I also, for our league mechanics, went with Essence, Strongbox, and Lab Trials. I left heist unblocked so I could grab smugglers' caches along the way since they're very quick. The reason why I took all of these league mechanics is they're super fast to grab, and I want to spend as little time in maps as possible, but also make a bit of extra profit while rushing the Crucible. The essences really do add up and carry a large portion of the income, so I would definitely recommend essences. It also has a high chance to spawn right next to the Crucible in Overgrown Shrine, so I definitely recommend speccing into them if you can kill them reasonably quickly. It's entirely possible there's more room for profit if you full spec into a boss killing tree and kill the boss each run, but then you have to consider dropping singular focus, and I didn't want to spend the extra time in my maps. Also, Overgrown Shrine isn't a great map for boss rushing, as Malagaro has like a small immune phase where he summons clones of himself, but with a different map like Coves or something, boss rush might be super good. So for our strongbox nodes, I'm taking the 4 strongbox on a map. I'm also grabbing the operative strongbox and strongboxes that are corrupted and rare. We're taking these 3 nodes for a chance to be openable again. And then we're taking the wheel here for the div card duplicate and the Arcanist, or like currency duplicates. We're also taking every node to do with essence except for the corrupted, the remnants of corruption. We don't want those because we want to actually use remnants of corruptions. For our lab, we're taking these 4 points here, which for the amount of points we're investing is super good. I ended up getting 2 gifts along all of these maps that I ran, and they're selling for almost 400 chaos right now each, so that's definitely super profitable. We're also grabbing here Eldritch Gaze, just so that we can, if we do encounter an altar that's decent, it has a 50% increased effective upsides, but that's not necessary. The other node that I would say is necessary here is Etch by Acid, and you definitely want that 10% chance to award double progress. Just means more invitations while you're farming these maps. And for everything else, like I mentioned, we're grabbing the map drop, additional map drop, connected map drops so that we can get more cemeteries, and then we're grabbing a bunch of chance for map drops to be duplicated. But honestly, the tree doesn't even matter because the maps don't even make up a fraction of the profit. So this is just a little bit of additional stuff. I wanted to farm my own cemeteries, so that's something that I invested in. But honestly, you could do this with pretty much any tree. These are just small ways to optimize things. Okay, so as usual in the spreadsheets, I covered each set. So at the bottom here, you'll find tabs to cycle through the sets. I have some random screenshots of just some stuff that I gathered up before starting the sets. We have our chaos conversion up here. You can change that to estimate to change the values of the all the conversions and stuff like that on the sheet. So I have our total maps, how much the maps were. I have our Orb of Unmaking in the first set to cover our full tree reset. We have currency that we invested to reroll bad maps or whatever. We have our geodes that we spent running the combines at the end, our remnants for essences, and then our bows, so our explode bows, our totem dupe bows, and then we have our split beast for the splits at the very, very end. So that factors in all of the stuff that we use to invest. We also have some quick overviews of some stuff that we had drop, as well as excellence data from how much was in the tab with everything removed except just the raw currency, random drops, stuff like that. So anything that's listed anywhere else on the spreadsheet, for instance, Wasteful maps, Cemetery maps, Screaming Invitation, those are all removed, and then the data is collected from Excellence about the remaining stuff. So I'm not counting things multiple times. We have our geodes that we got from drops, and then we have our profits from the bow stuff at the end, as well as our recouped costs for the saved bows that we saved from the combining process. So each sheet also has our attempts as well as our rates here. So in the first set, I'll go over that in the total section here actually. We're going to move over to the calcs. Now in set 1 we had 10 combines, so we had 4 bricks. We saved 2 explode nodes but lost 2 additional nodes, and then we got 4 full successes. So it shows our rates here. So we had basically a 40% rate between the full bricks and full success for this one, and then a 20% rate of saving one of our nodes. In set 2, we did 13, so we had 5 full bricks, 3 successes, we saved 4 explodes, and we saved 1 additional totem node. Our set 3, we had 15 combines, We had 5 full bricks, we had 5 successes, and then we saved 5 nodes between the explode and additional. So our total here, we ended up with 14 full bricks, we ended up with 12 full successes, we saved 9 totem nodes, and we saved 3 additional totem nodes. So that gives you a little overview of like how our odds are at actually being successful in the combines. So now, as I mentioned before, you can go over the individual spreadsheets. At the bottom here, we have some time estimates. So it took about 58 minutes per map. So I calculated that in there. I added another 50 minutes. Actually, this shouldn't be 158. This should be, I did 140 maps, right? Anyway, I'll fix this, but we have our time estimates here. So in our first set, we ended up making around 12 divines an hour. We had a total of 4 completed generic bows after splitting, and then 4 Mariketh. And Mariketh they're selling for a little bit more. It's about 1.2 divines each more than a normal bow. Our second set, we did 143 maps. It took 143 minutes. We did 93 maps. Just all over the place today. So you can see our profit per hour, as well as our profit per map, and you can see our revenue and our investment and stuff here. The third set, we did 15. We ended up making quite a bit more, almost 14 divines an hour. So we did 143 maps. And we had a pretty even breakdown of saving, catastrophic failure and fail success rate. As I mentioned, you can see the currency stuff if you want to take a look at the screenshots for a breakdown of what exactly I got. As far as our invitations and stuff like that, this is all, there's an equation to estimate this. So we're taking our total maps and we're dividing it by our average. So our total maps here was 143. So 143 divided by our average, which is 25.2 with that node that we're taking on the Atlas. So 143 divided by 25.2. And that equals out to approximately 5.68 invites. So that's how we got that decimal number there. And we're skipping all 14 progression invitations, so there's no profit calculated from that. So yeah, that pretty much does it for the strat. If there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask me below. I think that this is a really good way to make some quick currency. You know, maybe you don't have a lot of time to play or whatever. Just accumulate some bows over a couple play sessions and then slam them all together, see what happens. So yeah, all the information will be in the description. So also feel free to hop on my Discord if you have any questions. I did post about this in my Discord like 3 or 4 days ago or something like that, like after I had done a couple sets that for testing. So if you're interested in getting like early info on like maybe possible really good league strats or whatever, hop on into the Discord because that's where I post all the juicy stuff. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. Love you. See you later. Bye.